Hello, this is Mr. Doty, and this is CAD-201. We're working with Solidworks. This version is 2016, but any version of Solidworks, the same process will work. One of the things I like to do is go ahead and pin up here. Like whenever you start off, this is what your screen looks like, and when you hover over this guy right here, you end up with these little options. This little menu pops up, but if you'll pin it, it'll make life a lot easier and it'll kind of speed you up. Some other things you'll notice over here on the right, you've got some items on the screen, and you can close this guy out or you can leave him up. If you've got a widescreen monitor or a decent sized monitor, you're not going to notice really, and it's just kind of nice because there's some things over there you can go to. There's tutorials, there's you can get your toolbox pretty easy there. You can click on a new document, open a document, those kinds of things. It's better really once you start using SolidWorks to do things like up here, you've got new, you've got open. If you're in a drawing, you'd have save, and of course we've got print. And there's some settings or options that you can go to that pulls things up. And right now it's just system options because guess what? We're not in a drawing yet or part or anything. Okay, so what do we need to do? So the reason I'm making this video is because I found that some students may not have understood as well my handout that I made for this drawing, and I can understand that partially because it was an inventor and the idea was just to give you the concept, but let's make it fit with the program now and get with the program, so to speak. So this is the guide block. This is in chapter 2, number 4, and the guide block, it's hard to read some of the dimensions, but I'm going to show you how to make the thing, and we'll see how this works. So what do I need to do? I need to start off with something new, right? So on my other screen it popped up with this little guy right here. Okay, I got 2 screens, so anyway, if you don't have 2 screens, this would have popped up, and I've got mine full screen. I need a part, so I'm going to click on OK. If you had it set on, like right now I've got it on novice, if I have it on advanced and I click on part, actually maybe I don't, I guess I have it on advanced. Well, anyway, depending on what you have this set on, it was what this pulls up. Yours may look like this, where you've got a part, an assembly, or a drawing. So I'm going to pick part, and I'm going to hit OK. And it'll take a minute, unless you've got a really speedy computer, and even then. Okay, so this is what your SolidWorks environment is going to look like. Now, it doesn't matter what version you have, it's going to be real similar. You've got your feature tree over here, is what this guy is. If you ever lose him, one of the things that you can do under tools, and I'm not awesome with always finding this stuff, but I may have to figure out where it is later. But sometimes when you can't find something, you go to tools or you go to view, and it would be under view. So like you've got toolbars and you can turn them off or on. You've got hide and show, display, what things look like, and I'm not seeing what I was looking for, but anyway, that is the feature tree, and I was thinking it was under toolbars, but it's not. So I'll figure out where it is later, and oh, there it is. It's under user interface. There you go. So feature tree manager, that's what this guy is over here. It's checked, so it's on. I've got my status bar and motion manager, task pane, toolbars. Those are all checked so that they can be available to use. The one thing that's not on here that I don't understand why they hide it is this guy right here. This is your main menu. And it has a different name, which if I was a really awesome teacher, I would tell you what it is, but I'm still remembering all of the different things for all the different software, so there you go. And I'm human, so so let's get on with the drawing this goofy thing. Try not to make our video too long. Alright, so this is number 4 guide block in the chapter 2 of our book that we're using. And so basically what do we need to do? We need to make a sketch. So the first thing we always do, which I never understood why sketch is the second one over. Inventor it's not. So maybe Solidworks will listen to us one day. So the first thing I want to do is I want to create a 2D sketch. You know, I have that option. I could pick 2D or 3D, but I want to do a 2D sketch, and I'm going to pick the front plane. So I'm going to pick the front plane, so here we are. Now something that I've found that most new users don't understand is they just draw stuff on the screen and they don't think about, okay, let's plan this drawing out. How does it relate? You know, how does the geometry relate to each other? Well, here's something to keep in mind. You see this thing right here? This is our origin. That's 0, 0, 0. Okay, so we use X, Y, and Z coordinates. So think of it as a really big grid, you know, a 3D grid. So what I want to do is I'm on the front panel or front plane, and I want to draw on this. So what I want to do, since this is a rectangular type object, I want to keep the corner of it on the origin. If it was a circular object or it had a circular center feature, you know, whether it was a hole or a boss or whatever, then I could locate that center on there. And this will help you out later on, especially if you have an assembly where you're trying to get things to hook together. Alright, so let's move on. So what do I need to do? I have my sketch tools up here. One of the things I can do is I can click on line, and I'm going to hover over this guy right here, and notice that it is giving me a Solidworks calls them relations, but it's a constraint also. In other words, it's kind of like an object snap in AutoCAD. It hooks on to that point. So now I'm drawing a horizontal line, right? Now you can tell Solidworks, you can set it up to where it gives a distance, but we're sketching. So basically what you want to do is you want to sketch out the rough shape of the object. So this is the rough shape of my object. Notice it gives me a little hint that I can line that up. Okay, so there's that. And now I can go click on a circle, and I can do the same. Now, I'm not going to line up with any of these points because I don't want it to accidentally hook onto them. Okay, that's something else you got to remember. It auto constrains these things, so it'll like hook on to the middle of that, and then you have to go delete that relation, and it can be a pain. So if you get something that won't do what you want it to do, it may have a constraint or a relation on it that you need to fix. Alright, so anyway, there's my shape. Well, I don't know that that's the right measurements, correct? Okay, well, let's go put some measurements on it. Smart dimension. And since I had this silly circle picked, it's picking it, and it looks like it's 0.75. So I did pretty good in guessing. So I'm going to put in 0.75. It's the diameter of that guy. Don't worry about dimensioning etiquette as far as things being dimensioned correctly in the right spot. How you dimension, just stick a dimension on it is basically what you need to do. Alright, 3.62, and this is supposed to be a 60-degree angle, so I'm going to do this, and I apologize for the lack of clear clear dimensions on this. Oh, there it is. Sometimes you have to move around until you get the dimension to do what you want it to do. Okay, on angles you have to move it around. You saw I moved it around. Okay, so we got that, and it gives you all the different points, like from this point to this point is 1.63. Oops. the whole thing is 2 inches tall, but, and here's a little but, you need to think about how far it is from some smaller points and make sure that it doesn't accidentally move another line past another line, because depending on your measurements that you start with, sometimes you can actually goof up and cause lines to move and the shape distorts. And so sometimes it's trial and error on figuring out what you need to dimension first to make it do what you want to do. And that just comes with experience. Alright, so you'll notice they're turning black. That means that they are defined. And you see it says down here underdefined. And that's another reason that I started on the corner here. If I hadn't have located one part, piece of geometry on the origin, it wouldn't let me tell me that these were all constrained, even though I have, that these are all good to go. So what we need to do now is I need to finish putting dimensions on here. Let's see, this is 0.75. Now you'll notice I can do it two ways. I can pick this line and this line, or I can pick this line to do what I want to do. Okay, so it's too tall, 362, 60, 30. I need to locate this guy, so 1.5. Yeah, and you may not have a dimension on it, and you may have it in the right spot anyway, and that's okay, but put a dimension on it so that it locks it in place. It'll make life a lot easier later on. Okay, so I have all these lines on there, and it looks like I have all of my dimensions, so we're going to say that I'm good to go. Alright, so here is my sketch. It's fully defined. That's a good thing. They turn black. So now now remember, you always have to click your check marks to close out whatever it is that you're working on. So I'm going to click on that. Alright, now what? Okay, in this program, if you grab your center button on your mouse, notice that it does this. Basically you're orbiting, right? And it's hard to get things to line up. It's not like the view cube and the Autodesk stuff. But if you want to pan, you have to hold down Control and the middle button. I forget, and I end up, messing up. Now, what happens if I want to be looking directly at this guy? Well, if you hit your space bar, it automatically pulls up your orientation, which is the same thing as this stuff up here. And then you can click on this guy, and it will flip it around. And actually, maybe I wanted it to look the other way, and then it'd flip the other direction. But actually, that's the direction that I want. Alright, and if you use your scroll mouse button, the middle button on your mouse, Control, hold down Control to pan, and then now I can just tilt it just a little bit. I'm just going to rotate it a little bit so I can see the depth. You're saying, okay, what are you doing? Okay, I have my sketch. I'm good. I have a sketch here. Well, what do I need to do in my sketch? Well, I need to go to Features, which is right up here. And in this case, I want to do an extruded boss or base. You're saying, what the heck's a boss? A boss is a positive cylinder. A hole is a negative cylinder. And it could also be an extruded cut if it's a hole. So just remember that a boss comes out from your object, on a plane, just like this circle. If I wanted it to be a boss, then it would come out as a positive instead of being a negative. Now, here's the other thing to remember. If you have a hole in something and you can draw that complete sketch or that profile, then all you have to do is go to Extruded Boss, and sometimes it'll pick it and sometimes it won't. What happens if it didn't pick this automatically? You'd be like, lost. Okay, well, it's okay. It honestly doesn't do it sometimes. So what you do is, guess what? Your parts tree up here, or your tree part manager, is right here, and you click on it, and guess what? There is everything. So then you can say, hey, I want to do this sketch, and you click on the sketch, and that would be what I'm wanting to do. And that's what this guy is right here. You know, this area right here. So I pick this. I say I want it to do that. It says sketch plane, so it knows that I'm going off the sketch. Anyway, if it doesn't, then you would click on this and you click on sketch, and then it would go, oh, okay, you want to use this guy. All right, notice it gives me a distance. So blind is a distance that I want to use. So blind, how deep is the whole thing? It's 1.5. Now, I guarantee I'd have somebody want to try to make this 0.25 thick and then try to build that bottom off of it and then try to build the other one. Well, that is one way of doing it, but it's not the most efficient way. So anyway, here we go. We've got this. Gives me a example of what it's going to look like, which is cool. If I wanted to go two different directions, I could do that. Like if I was going off of the middle and I wanted to split the difference, you know, half and half, or part one way and another dimension the other way, you can do that too. But this is simple, so we're just going to do this. Alright, check it out. I got my nice little block right here. See, nice and pretty. Okay, so what do I need to do now? I need to make a cut. And part of the reason I'm making this video is because I want to check out something that somebody did yesterday, and I want to see if it works. And because I have a different way of doing it, and I'm not necessarily the expert, and I'm not always right, and there's always more than one way to do something. So I'm going to show you how to do it, and then there may be another way of doing it, and that's okay. If you end up with the same answer, then that's great. I'm trying to show you the easiest, most efficient way that I know. And if you come up with a better idea, then shoot it to me and I'll be happy to pass it on. Okay, so what do I need to do? I need to make a cut, and I want to start from this plane right here. So I need to go to sketch, click on sketch, click on the plane. Now here's where the space bar comes in. Hit your space bar, pick on this, it flips it around to where you can't see. And I think, yeah, these are my angle spots. So what I want to do is I want to draw a rectangle. So I'm going to click on rectangle, and I want to put my rectangle right in here. Now this is just me, but I had somebody that they actually did the 0.25 all the way around. So let's see what that does first, and then I'll show you what I do. So I'm going to pick this like so, because I think I tried this and it didn't work, but I could be wrong. The other thing you have to bear in mind is this angle could make a difference on how far down it goes. So anyway, it's just one of those things that you have to keep in mind. And I know I'm blowing your mind. That's okay. 0.25. And then I just pick this line. It doesn't matter that it's not in my sketch. It's a piece of geometry, so it will, you know, you can dimension off of it. 0.25. And let's see what happens when I do 0.25 here. Pardon me. Alright, so I've got this thing done. So now what am I going to do? I'm going to do this. And it may work. I don't know. I'm curious to see, because what I usually do is I usually let this guy run out past the edge, because since it's on an angle, I want to make sure it catches everything. So I don't really care how long this comes out. And sometimes you have to do that in order to make things work. Okay, so next thing I need to do is, how far do I need to go down? Well, I may need to do some math. So what it's saying here is this is 0.25 thick on the bottom, so, or that bottom surface is, and the whole thing's 2. So if I do a little math, that comes up with 1.75. So what do I need to do? So I need to go to Feature, Extruded Cut, boom, and guess what? It knows, or it thinks it knows, the direction that I want to go. So now I just have to come in here and put in, okay, it doesn't like that. I'll just pick it, 7.5, and you know, it's going to give me an example of what it looks like. And then I'm just going to click on my little arrow here. And guess what? It didn't work. Which is why I thought that it wouldn't work. So, I hate it when I'm right. Not really, but anyway. So, I'm proving a point. I'm showing you that that doesn't work. So, what do I need to do to get that to work? Because it's on an angle, here's how we fix it. And here's something else. If you mess up, don't worry about it. Alright, you've got a parts tree over here, or a history tree, or whatever you want to call it. And this tells you everything about it. You know, it tells you all your planes, it tells you materials. It even tells you all the steps that you've done. And you've got this little bar here where you can, you know, back things up, or you know, anyway. And like if I wanted to, if it wouldn't mess something up, I could actually take this and drag it up above here and switch places with it. But that really wouldn't help us out. Alright, so what do I need to do? I need to edit this. Now I have the right depth, so what do I need to do? So if I pick with my left button, I get this little menu up here. Now notice that I can edit the feature, so like if the depth wasn't right, I could change that. Or I could edit sketch. So you don't have to delete anything. You just need to pick on edit sketch. So what do I need to do? Well, what I need to do for one is I need to get rid of this. Delete that. And I am going to pick that surface and click on my little show to, what do you call that thing? Normal to. There you go. And whoops, I did it again. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. But what I want to do is I want to take this guy and I'm going to drag him out here. Now, I don't have him constrained with a dimension, so I can do that. So I just drag him out there, and I'm just going to go ahead and finish him out because that's what I want to do. Now, let's see if it worked. Let's turn him over, turn him over. Oh, guess what? It worked. So there is a rhyme and reason to my little idea here. Alright, so there you go. There's your part. Alright, now what do you need to do? You need to save it, obviously. So what are we going to do? We're going to save it. And you need to pick a folder to save these things in. Try to keep your files organized. Apparently I have something set up here, so I'm going to click on this guy here. And guess what? I need to make a new folder, so I'm going to make a new folder. And I'm just going to call it Guide Block, G-U-I-D-E, Block. And now, if you had a chapter, like Chapter 2, and you wanted to save all your stuff in Chapter 2, that would be a good way to do it. And then I'm just going to call him Guide Block. You could use a space if you want to. I'm just old school, and I like to fill them in. So, there we go. And now it's saved. And that's really all there is to making this part. Hopefully this helps you. I'm sorry it took so long on the video. Might edit it out, shorten it up. We'll see what happens. We'll see you around on the videos. Have a good day.